Alex Witter.
Yes, sir.
My guy. So happy to see you.
Happy to see you too, dog. It's been a minute since
so
Happy New Year, bro. So,
I was thinking about it last night. I was like, man,
ladies and gentlemen,
potting, bro.
Hello and welcome to the Hustle Over Everything podcast. This is the podcast where we receive stories, tips, and tactics from entrepreneurs who have done it. Today we have a focused podcast for you where we dive deep into a specific topic. And today we're talking about procrastination. You know what I'm saying? Procrastination was big for us. We asked our audience, what are some of the things you want to leave in 2021? And one of those was procrastination. The reason why is because I think a lot of us know that we can be better with procrastination in the past.
Yeah.
We believe that it's something that we struggle with. So let's dive deep into it. But before that, bro, what's new with you, dog? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Man, you know, my birthday's coming up in 3 days. We're recording this on Saturday, January 7th, 2022. I'm about to turn 28, the big 28. I feel like when you cross this age, at 27, I still felt like I was like 21. But I feel like at 28, man, I'm starting to get this feeling of responsibility. Like, I got to get my life together. And I feel like my life is together. I have everything is going well. Career is on its right path. We're building our platform. Everything is going great. But I feel like once you cross 28, there's this like speedy track, 24 months till 30. Like legit, when you break it down into months, you're like 24 months, I'm turning 30. And you start feeling like real adulty. Like, okay, where am I going? Where am I settling? Do I have enough money to buy a house? Do I have, when do I look to find a girl to settle down with? All these things start coming in your mind. Your moms and aunties are asking you, do you have any, when you're getting married, like, we got to find you a wife. We got to find you a girl. My mom is starting to ask me these questions now because I'm the eldest, right? She's like, oh, like, what are you doing? You should look at moving out of Toronto, save some money for a house. All these things are starting to come in my thought pattern. And of course we joke around like, bro, like 28, we were saying it earlier, Forbes 30 under 30, like this is you losing draft eligibility, bro.
Right?
So we have 24 months. I mean, you're turning 29 in like about 6 months, so you have like another solid year. So I think with our initiatives this year, hopefully it can catapult us to the draft boards, man, in the green room, so we can get chosen to be on the draft 30 under 30, man, because there's only 30 spots in North America, let's say, and in the media. So I think we'll compete in the media space when we apply. Yeah, probably. But that's how I'm doing, man. I'm turning 28, so that's on my mind. I'm organizing a little event for my friends and family next week. I'm excited to have Kristen over on Saturday. And yeah, man, that's how I'm doing, man. 2022, like always, that first 10 days is what's birthday period for me. Yeah.
I feel you. It's like it's on the cusp right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
28, man. 28.
It's big. So do you feel like you have accomplished what you want to accomplish by 28?
I feel like I'm on track. I feel like I know I'm going to get to where I want to be with the success that I do want to have. But I look at my friends. A lot of my friends are now engaged. They're married. Some have bought homes. Some have children. Some are doing really well. Like they've bought properties and cottages and everything like that. Driving nice cars. And of course, as successful as I feel, as content as I feel where I'm at, you can't help but compare yourself a little bit. You can't help but look at, wow, like, should I be doing that? Should I be looking to have a serious relationship where I can build at those things? Because when you have a partner like that, a girlfriend or a boyfriend or girlfriend, you can build towards something. So I'm seeing them build towards something, and by them building it together, they're actually getting ahead faster. So I'm like, is that a hack that I should be doing? I know it works, but at this stage of my life, like, is that something I should consider? So I feel successful. I feel like what we're doing is getting us to where we want to be. Work is going really well. But there's like these big, grandiose things which solidify you as an adult at this stage in your life. Then if I go into this stage of my life where like, hey, like this is where I'm at, it's still okay. But when you compare yourself with others, you're like, man, I'm a little bit behind. Do I have enough much saved up? How much should I have saved up at 28, 29? Right? This is like big boy stuff now that I'm thinking about. Yeah. Yeah. So I feel successful though. That's for sure.
That's what counts.
Yeah. How about you? Like, you're 28.
28. How do I feel about being 28? It gets a bit scary to keep it a buck with you. You want to make sure that you are reaching the potential that you thought you could. Mm-hmm. You realize how fugazi your thoughts were. You thought you'd be like a multimillionaire
Bro,
by 28.
I thought I was going to be a millionaire by 25.
It's BS. It's BS. What we do is we always look at the extreme 1% of things. Mm-hmm. We don't realize how many people are still living at home with their parents, who are still not halfway close to where you are. Mm-hmm. It's funny, in my family, like my siblings are asking me for money and stuff like that, and it's like I ain't even halfway where I need to be, and you're asking me for money. Like, I don't got it like that.
You don't got it like that.
Yeah. This is what I tell them, But the real thing is looking at where I was and looking to where I'm going. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel I have to do, because comparison it robs you of joy every time. So I just have to look within myself instead of looking outside for my own satisfaction. Mm-hmm. You get me? And that kind of leads to what we're talking about today with procrastination. Because what procrastination really is, it's like a combination of fear and the want for more, But let's take a step back and get into it, bro. Because we actually did some research, and
we prepared some gems for you to deliver. So I'm really excited to get into this because
look at this, putting the expectation high.
Hey guys, look, we're gonna do what we're gonna do here. And, you'll be the judge of the information, but it's factual information. So whatever you do with it, that's what you decide to do with the information. We're just here to deliver the information.
Most definitely. So the reason why we want to dive in is because it's a problem that we all have. Mm-hmm. First things first, we are not claiming to be professionals. Experts claiming that we don't procrastinate. No, this is something we all do. This is something that is a problem for a lot of us. Mm-hmm. Even Leonardo da Vinci procrastinated. It took him 16 years to do the Mona Lisa.
16 years. 16. 1-6,
bro.
Wow.
This is a fact. You can look this up. So, procrastination is something that we all deal with. Even I remember listening to an interview, and Travis Scott was saying that he turned in his verse for Drake's album the night before. This happens. Like, people work on projects a day of. Like, I even heard one thing that like Kanye was working on his album cover on the way to the performance for the album in Kim's car. Like, this is something that happens throughout.
Everyone. No matter how successful you are, no matter what stage you are at, everyone procrastinates.
Yeah. So the thing is how can we identify it? What are the mindsets behind it? And how can we catch it so we can become the better us? Yeah. I think that's the difference.
And you'd think the more successful you are, you'll think that I'm way over procrastination because I've mastered what it's like to be successful. I know what it takes to be successful. I did not get here by accident. And to be successful means that you have a high degree of self-discipline. Mm-hmm. So you're not a procrastinator, but even as you're successful, no matter if you're an athlete, celebrity, producer, whatever it is, you're procrastinating that workout. You're procrastinating working on that formula for your biology assignment or whatever it is. It's like, what is dragging you from actually accomplishing those tasks? And we're going to get deeper into it today.
So let's talk about the science behind procrastination. Mm-hmm. So we looked up this doctor, Dr. Pierce Steele, a professor. He has organized procrastination to come down to an actual equation. And the equation of that is basically speaking to where the higher the motivation and utility for that task, the less likely you are to procrastinate. So essentially, it's saying the more weight you put on that task, the less likely you are to procrastinate. And this actually got a lot of...
Man, I'm just thinking about all those times where, so I'm really fascinated by this, right? The higher the motivation and utility for the task, the less likely you are to procrastinate. You know, this is, to me, this is me making TikToks and Reels. The higher the motivation utility for the task, like you really, like, guys, to make content, that stuff that you see on TikTok, Reels, everything, those people making those 30-second clips, there's a lot of detail and attention that goes into that. And the more that you actually know what that's going to take and the utility you need to make it, the more like you find yourself, you know what, let me actually just go clean the dishes real quick. You know what, the carpet is looking pretty, there's like, I think I see some crumbs in there. Let me go grab the vacuum. Hey, these bed sheets are pretty dirty. Let me put them in the wash. That's how like you start compensating for the actual utility of actually doing something productive by like the lowest apple in the tree, so I can like feel as if I'm doing something before even attacking the task.
Most definitely. And that's what it is. It's a dopamine hit, you know, because there's instant gratification that comes from doing that. Whereas, you know, that there's a delayed gratification that comes from actually taking the time to do that work. You know, as well, there's a letdown when you put all that work into that TikTok, into that,
you get 100 views,
work.
Man.
Exactly. With any task, there is a real letdown.
Yeah.
When you put your whole self into that work and you turn it in and it gets a horrible response. You feel like, damn, I put all this into it. Like my self-worth is actually trying to equate to that now.
Have you ever felt that? Like, what's an
Hell
example?
yeah,
Like,
most definitely.
what's one thing that sticks out to you right now?
Turning in stuff to clients. You know, before you give something to a client, and like, how is this? Do I like it? Do I not? You know, and then you give to them, they're like, oh, I have some feedback. Oh, I didn't like this as much. And you're like, damn, didn't even like it. You know, and one thing that we do as well is we'll procrastinate to create a framework for us to turn in bad work, because then we can say it's not our best work. You know, I'll never forget, I was in college and we were working in Photoshop for a project, and I procrastinated on it and like did like a B's work. And I got a B, and I was like, oh, it's okay. And I could do better than this. And a girl, Ivy, shout out to Ivy, wherever you are, she's like, how come you didn't put your whole work into it then? And I was like, I don't know. And it stuck me like, how come I don't know that? How come I don't know why I didn't put my whole work into it? And then after doing research for procrastination, I realized is that I didn't want to put my whole work into it because I was afraid of what happens when I put my whole ass into something and then they reject it. Because I was equating the result to how I am as a person. And you know what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of us fall into it.
So you're saying that when we're procrastinating, this is interesting because what you're saying is if we don't put all our energy and effort into something, if it comes up short, you can at least fall back and say, well, I didn't really give my best. Hey, I kind of like whatever. So you kind of retain some of that, what would you call it, pride or?
Exactly, retain the pride because like, I didn't do the whole of it, so it's not me. And there's a specific thinking of that. It's actually, we actually have it here. It's called downward counterfactual thinking. Downward counterfactual thinking. This focuses on how the situation could have been worse. In this scenario, a person can make themselves feel better about the outcome because they realize in that situation it's not the worst it could be. You know what I'm saying?
And the worst it could be, that would be you giving it your all and it coming and you still feeling as if like, hey, this was not the best it could have been. So pretty much what I'm saying is you gave it your all, and the reception that you thought you'd get by giving your all, you actually in reality got that perception. So that is actually attacking who you really are because you've given 100% effort and it didn't even materialize into anything. So now by backing it up, I gave 50% anyway. So if it does come back in a negative response, at the end of the day, it was 50% work.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah. Damn, that's how we think, man.
That's how we think. One thing we do, we're looking up research on it, and a professor gave an example of before you were in class, before a test, and you're outside, mingling among people.
Fin 401, Fin 300, stats. Everyone out there with their crib sheets.
With their crib sheets, talking to each other. Oh, I only got 3 hours to study. Oh, I only got 2 hours to study.
And then there's those other characters who would be like, oh man, I didn't even study that much. And then after they come back, hey bro, what'd you get on your exam? Just like, man, I got like 85. I'm like, what do you mean you got 85?
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought you didn't study. He's like, well, yeah, like I guess I just looked up my notes. I hated that term when people came back. Like, I looked up my notes. Like, what the hell do you mean you looked at your notes?
You mean you studied your ass off?
Yeah, you mean you studied. And why were people ashamed of seeming as if they studied?
Yeah.
Like, you ever notice that? Like, people
sure.
are always afraid I put in work to get that grade. It's as if, like, if I put in my effort, I don't want to show it. I tried so hard to get this grade.
Yeah.
So you kind of want to look as if like I did it effortlessly. I walked in there and I just got the grade and that's it.
Most definitely. It's like a bit of like a self-loathing thing that happens a lot of time in our society, in our culture. And I'm like, where does that come from? Another thing too is that what it does, it validates where you are. Mm-hmm. So it becomes a cycle. So if you say, hey, I put 50% effort in and got 80%, or let's say 50%, let's stick with 80. Put 50% effort in and got 80. Oh, well, at least I did pretty good, and I don't have to work on anything, right? Whereas if you get 65, you can still say, oh, I put 50% effort in, I only got 65, it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. So it allows you to validate whatever you get. So, it's kind of protecting yourself and soothing yourself for immediate gratification. Mm-hmm. Because if you were to not do that, then you have to do the work and be like, damn, I didn't do enough. I need to go back and go do more. And what it is an instant gratification to soothe ourselves, because what we want is the immediate dopamine hit of saying, oh, it's okay. You didn't do bad. You're not a bad person. And that kind of goes into our whole aspect of needing continuous hits. Mm-hmm. Instead of being like, all right, I don't need a hit right now. I need to think about how I can be better, how I can strategize better. Mm-hmm. And it's something that we all go through. Yeah. It's something we all go through. And what happens is it creates a cycle of soothe to rationalize, feel good, procrastinate. Soothe, rationalize, feel good, procrastinate. And it's a cycle we need to fix.
What is that 4 things that they were saying up top, like when you're going to the whole process of procrastination, right? So procrastination in the form of an equation where, as I was saying earlier, the higher the motivation and utility for the task, the less likely you are to procrastinate. So this is measured by expectancy. So expectancy is the level to which you expect to complete the task. And then B, the value, right? So the value of the reward you will get once the task is done. Third is the impulsiveness. So impulsiveness is the likelihood that you will be distracted by something that will give you instant gratification. And then D is the delay. So in order to raise motivation, there's an actual equation for it. So motivation is the expectancy times the value divided by the impulse times the delay. So that actually gives you like, this is the level of motivation that is actually needed to, actually get the task done.
Exactly. And you divide it by the impulsive X delay. And impulsiveness in this case is the likelihood for you to be distracted, like you said, right? Mm-hmm. So that includes anything that gives you a quick hit or a control hit. Includes your cell phone, whether it be text, social media. Like
refreshing Twitter.
Looking
to see if there's a new YouTube video on your homepage that you can check out. Like maybe ESPN, mm-hmm. Skip and Shannon have dropped a whole new video. Abba or Stephen A. Abba and Preach. Mm-hmm. Man, yeah. Like you're looking to see what I can actually feel good about. And feel as if I'm actually getting like a quick feel good hit instead of actually getting deep in the nitty gritties of everything.
And there's also control factors too. Mm-hmm. And this is something I've done as well, is do something to get a quick hit of control. Because sometimes when you're going into something that you don't know what's on the opposite side of the work, you don't know what control you're gonna have within it. So you take a second to get control of that time. So you might go eat, you might go clean. You might go talk to somebody that you can affect, just to get a quick sense of control, because you feel like in the moment of doing the work, I am not in control wholeheartedly.
What do you like? So control as in, let's give an example. Let's say you are a content creator like us. What is a level of control in this situation? Just so we can give some context.
So what I was saying is, you have to edit a project. Mm-hmm. and you're fearing editing the project because you don't know if you can control how good it's going to turn out. So before you go and get that project edited, you are going to the fridge to get something to eat because you feel that, I just need something to eat, a munchie. When in actuality, you're just in fear of the actual emotion. So you're kind of putting the control over the emotion of getting into it and getting nitty gritty into the editing to get it done.
And what causes that fear, even though you know you can do it?
The fear of failing.
The fear of failing, like the content is not going to match up to the expectations that I want it to be. Is it your personal expectation, or is it everybody within, outside, who's going to see this expectation that causes you to procrastinate? Is it the fear of the criticism?
Both, because your self-worth is tied to the performance, right? So however it performs in your mind or the audience's mind, whichever you validate as more valuable, is what you're weighing it against, And that's the thing that the research has shown, is that we're so tied to that we kind of, to protect ourselves, we take a step back from it, which is becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy,
Yeah. There's so many people I know who, to this day, that they know what they have to do. You know you can do it. But there's like this outside external factor that they're afraid of, that if they got a dose of that, like they fear the fear of the unknown. It's like, the people out there, they're going to do something, but I don't know how they're going to react. So you get the analysis paralysis of, should I do it? Should I start? Maybe I should just like do this a little bit. Maybe I don't have to do that much. Maybe I can just do what I know is going to make me feel like as if I am successful with it. And that's a scary part, because you're robbing yourself of excellence. You're robbing yourself of actually giving your God-given ability to perhaps compose a piece of content or music, or if you're producer, study, like you're gonna get a 90. You know what you got to do to get a 90. Like all of us, I was a decent student in university when I realized how to study in my third and fourth year, and I realized like, I can get the best grades I want. It's the level of effort I decide to input into the studying that are going to yield those grades. And I personally did a cost benefit analysis. I was like, okay, you know what? I have these projects I'm doing, which was Sneaker Deck at the time. I decided the best thing for me is if I get an 85, I'll be okay with that grade. I knew what it took to get a 90, but I knew that if I work this much, I looked out like my motivation is 85. Like, so like that lowered my expectations. I don't really need to go that hard to get a 90, because I know I don't have the time to put in the work to get a 90. So I stopped procrastinating because I lowered my expectations, because I knew that I'm dividing my time across a lot of different things. My expectation was, if I put in these much hours and I get this result, I'll be okay with it. And that expectation level was set. What we do in school is we procrastinate because we know we have to perform at the absolute best, because we don't know how things are going to react at the end of the day. Like, I can study as hard as I can, and I know if I studied hard to get a 90 and I come up and I get a 70, now you're crushed, right? So now like you're going into it thinking, man, like if I study this hard, I might not get it. That's why you lower your expectations. Man, I'll be okay with a 50. I'll be okay if I just pass the course. Right? It's just that you've tried it. It's like even with love, man. It's just like, I don't want to try dating anymore because I might get crushed again. I don't want to approach that chick or that guy because I might get rejected again. So you're procrastinating on taking action all the time because of the fear of the unknown of the result that you're going to get. But you know you have to make that approach. You know you have to put in the study hours. You know you got to go build whatever it is that you want to build. So I think we got to recalibrate the way we see the results and the action that we put in to get that result that we want, that we'll be okay with, and not leaving it up to chance and letting it be like what it is.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah, it's a part of trusting the process, which is one of those cliche
Trust
phrases.
The process.
You know what I'm saying? Trusting the process. But it's the truth. It's the truth. And this is the time where you have to actually create small wins, creating small subtasks that help you get that project done, that studying done. I think that's some of the things that really help, is creating small wins, or even organizing the ways to get to those small wins. I found it's starting to help me, like even with organizing myself, like creating a calendar time to schedule my calendar.
What?
Yeah.
Scheduling a calendar time to work on your calendar.
Yeah.
That's refreshing, man. That's new.
I had to do that.
That's a hack.
I had to do it because that helped me a lot because I was all over the place. I was missing meetings. I'm like, all right, this is getting out of hand.
So when do you do this calendar stuff now?
I sat down, I think it was a Sunday, and I scheduled my whole week out. And on Mondays is gonna be my scheduling day for my calendar where I go through
Mondays.
the whole week. Yeah, exactly, and go through it. And some Mondays are for editing now and creating content, and then I'll do the rest of like other stuff throughout the week. Like I have like a more of a flow now to be a little bit more productive. So that's really helped, and hopefully that helps someone in the audience. So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna steal that from you, man. I work on my calendar sporadically, but I think I need to schedule a time to work on my calendar and to work on everything that I do. So my flow is gonna be use TickTick, which is a platform that we mentioned last year. TickTick, you can look at your tasks, you can actually schedule those tasks on your calendar, and then there's something called the Pomodoro method, which has a timer in there, which is doing tasks in 25-minute slots, and then you take a 5-minute break, and then you set up the next Pomodoro. So a Pomodoro actually helps you establish your focus, and it zones you in for a short period of time where you have no distractions towards what it is that you're engaging on, and then you reward yourself at the end with a 5-minute break. Then you can surf the web, you can check social media, you can check who liked your photo or who commented on it. If someone retweeted you, you can surf LinkedIn. And then after that, and it's actually a timer. So when 5 minutes are up, you start the next task. So that's a great platform everyone can check out to really help you organize your tasks and find ways to reward yourself within those tasks once you complete them.
most definitely. Shout out to TickTick. Yo, TickTick, if y'all watching this, give us an affiliate link or something. You know, let's talk. Let's just do a sponsorship. Let's
For
talk.
sponsorship, this is what we talk about, productivity.
Most definitely. So, from doing research, what stood out to you when it comes to procrastination that you didn't know before that you'd like to share with the audience?
What really stood out to me is the fact that the biggest procrastinators are not the people who are quote unquote like failures. You know, the people who you think, oh yeah, that person doesn't study, they get bad grades. It's actually the overachievers who procrastinate the most from doing the research that we were doing to talk about the pod today. So that's what really stood out the most for me. It's people who are actually excellent at what they do. They find ways to circumvent their time, their energies and efforts towards a task that they got to complete more than the people who you think are the biggest procrastinators. And that's what I was mentioning earlier is the top tier athletes, the high successful entertainers and celebrities. You think these people are super disciplined at their craft because that's what they got there, but they actually take a lot more time to procrastinate to get the things that they do want to get done more than the people who are let's say average people who are looking to get their life together and then they procrastinate. So that was an interesting find to me. What about you?
For me, one thing that stood out to me was access.
Access?
Yeah, I looked at Ali Abdaal's Productivity King. Shout out
That
to Ali
guy.
Abdaal.
What's that thing we talk about with the 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss?
Yeah.
Like finding little edges just
Edges.
to, I realize if I have a harder couch, I will not be sitting more. So that allows me to put in more work into my business.
Yeah,
Finding ways of discomfort.
I increased my standing time by 45% with a hard couch.
I lower the temperature of my house so I can be more alert and I can be more focused so I can read better.
Yeah, so my house temperature is negative 45 degrees. But
Crazy things, man. Shout out to Ali Abdaal, man. He's the king of finding hacks and new ways. And even that's where my boy Martin, he found out a lot about the app Notion of organizing your thoughts. It's like a mega brain or something like that.
Yo, startup bros love Notion.
Notion. If you love Notion, check out this guy, August Bradley. We call him Daddy Bradley. Like, this guy was a guy we looked up to because the way his Notion was set up was just, it was like this breathing thing of just ideas and thoughts, and everything was just so connected to each other. So you're just like deep diving into this guy's thoughts, his life, his sleep, his eating, his running. And then within his running, there's like a tag to go to read a book about running. And in the book about running, it talks about heart rate. He connects it to some research he did about heart rate. So it's like a mega Wikipedia of someone's life. You know when you're on Wikipedia and then you start like linking on like one link and then one link and then that one link and you're like, you go in this rabbit hole of like ideas and exploration. So that's what Notion does, man.
All right, I gotta take a quick second. Talk to me about these socks that you're wearing right now, bro. These socks look hella cozy.
These are a gift I got. These socks, they're very fluffy.
Very fluffy.
Very fluffy. So I tend to have a lot of cold feet, not because I'm nervous or anything like that, but just naturally. I don't know if it's like it's a health thing or something like that, but I have a foot heater underneath my desk to keep my feet toasty and warm.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so when I'm actually toastier and warm, Alex, I actually am more productive. So I have an optimal heat of medium between more. And that optimal heat gives me the nice amount of like comfort so I can actually lock in and make TikToks and reels for Hustle Over Everything.
Got you. Shout out to the space heater.
Space heater. So the socks actually add a different layer of heat into it, where it combines a blend where my toes don't curl as much, so I can actually have an extra optimal level of focus. Yeah. So cozy socks are a big hack towards your productivity and procrastination. You know, fascination that I found, bro. What do you think about that? Productivity hack. Wear cozy socks.
Honestly, no. I think it's actually really good because what it is a. Are you cracking your knuckles on the bike, bro? Don't get me cheesed right now. All right.
I'm cracking my knuckles, guys. You know.
Please do not. We're editing that all the way out. All right.
Take it out.
So, what I was getting to with Ali Abdaal was that he had made easy access to specific things to help him have quicker productivity. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, he had set up his whole office to be a YouTube studio. So all he had to do was make a few clicks, and he was live. And that's one thing we did as well. You know, we created our own podcast studio through having the right camera set up. So it took us maybe 5 minutes.
We'd roll out of bed and then start recording
right to the podcast.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that is a huge thing to increase productivity because it was super easy for us to create a pod. Mm-hmm. It's different now because we're using better cameras, better gear, trying to step it up. But things like that can really help us get access to it because a lot of times the hump of setting up equipment, you know, getting into that space can make it harder for us to get to that productivity flow.
Yeah, let me pour you some water on that.
Sure, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Also, what I think is necessary is a workflow slider. I mentioned this earlier. Not in the pod, but when we were talking. A workflow slider with things that help you get into that workflow.
That state of flow.
Exactly, state of flow slider. So for me, I use the same thing we're talking about, the Pomodoro method. I use music, jazz music, to help me get into that state of focus. I also use aromas as well to get into that state of focus. Mm-hmm. And when once those are going, like it starts to... we start turning
form follows function.
Exactly. So having those mental triggers to get you back into that state of flow are super helpful. Mm-hmm. So whatever you actually have as a state of flow, I would love to know, like, what are some of the things that you use to create a state of flow for yourself? Comment below. We'll have a little blurb in Spotify if you're in Spotify, or just put it in the charts in Apple and give us a rating while you're there.
Yeah. And, I want to touch upon like flow. Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street, actually used to do these things to get in a state of flow, to really get in the zone. A lot of salespeople do this. A lot of people who are in environments where they really need to get in a state of mind to really execute a task. So if you're a salesperson, you really do it because you want to get into a state of mind when you're making cold calls. You are hot and ready, like Little Caesars, ready to go. So he used to smell peppermint. And whenever he smelled peppermint, he will actually trigger a state of mind, which will allow him to get in that flow state. And the thing about flow, there's actually something within our brains. It's like it's a receptor, and it's called the anandamide. The anandamide, it's from a Latin word called anenda. And anenda is the bliss molecule. So the reason why you can actually feel flow is because you actually get in a state of bliss. So when you're doing things that you are focused on, naturally it doesn't matter what it is. You could be digging your backyard to plant some trees, but that state of motion and grooviness that you get in, you are feeling a state of bliss, which allows you to really lock in and to really start going. So whenever you're not in a bliss state, it's really hard to get going because your mind is not really as engaged as if like that receptor in your brain. It's actually, it all comes down to your biology, the way you're wired up to really stay focused. I find out as well too, whenever I'm in a different state of mind, I can edit as many videos as I can within a short amount of time. And I realize because I'm in a high state of bliss and I'm getting in that flow state. So the anandamine is something within our brains that allows us to really focus in, and not necessarily focus, but to really get in a feeling of stride, which allows us to slowly pick up our focus as we continue working on the task minute by minute and to the hour to the hour. So that is a great way to really look at it. Is what are some triggers that you can have? Is it smelling peppermint? Is it listening to jazz music, which is what I like to do? Is it putting on a specific candle? I love candles. It gets me into that flow state. I'm ready to rock and roll. So ananda is that place within your brain which unleashes that feeling of flow state. That's why whenever you're making calls as a salesperson, you know when you pick up that phone, that person within who picks up that phone call is going to give you the best welcoming because you're so in the zone. They can feel it. They can actually feel like your magnetism from the phone. They can actually feel you smiling. Crazy. Whenever you talk on the phone with someone, you can actually sense the mood they're in. If you can tell if they're smiled or if they're cheesed.
Energy transfers,
man.
It's so huge. You know, it's funny. I was reading up on Miss Excel. Have you heard of Miss Excel?
No.
Miss Excel is a huge TikToker right now. Mm-hmm. And what she's doing is teaching people Excel, one of the most boring things on planet Earth.
So boring.
So what she does is she'll create a TikTok and do a quick tutorial on Excel. Mm-hmm. And she's blowing up, right? Combines dancing with Excel tutorials. And she was interviewed on how she's been able to do this. And one of the big things she says is, what people don't understand is that this is actually an energy transfer. So what she does is she hypes up herself and gets into the mood. And once she feels like she got that energy going, she runs to her camera, turns it on, and starts dancing and starts getting into that zone, and then gives it the tutorial. So it's an energy transfer, and that's what TikTok usually is. And that happens a lot, especially in sales and talking to people. It's an energy transfer, and that's why you feel so wasted by the end of the day, because you're giving so much energy to these people, to these Zoom meetings, to these whatever's. So by the end of the day, you're feeling exhausted.
Speaking of Zoom, man, what is it about Zoom that gets us mentally drained? After, because you're physically within one place, you're not even going anywhere, but after that, once you press leave meeting, you're like, wow, that I feel exhausted. What is it about that
Bro, it's exactly the energy transfer.
It's energy transfer.
That's exactly what it is, because you have to put yourself in a specific frame of mind to go from Zoom meeting to regular self, put that little mask on.
You know what it is, bro? It's like, think about like the interaction you have on Zoom and the way we're talking right now. When you're talking right now, I can interrupt your thought, but I'm not really cutting you off. It's like I'm adding more fuel towards what you're saying. I don't really have to look at myself when I'm talking to you. So when we're talking on Zoom, I'm not even looking at you. I'm looking at the other screen, which is me, and I'm looking at, am I smiling? You're so self-conscious of your whole being that you're sitting there, okay, I don't look as enthused. Oh, should I have laughed at that? Wow, like that's how I'm doing. That's my background. Oh, he's talking. I can't really, and then you try and talk, like, oh, okay, you go, right? It loses that actual effect because you're overthinking the whole process of this whole interaction. So when you're done talking, I think when you're done talking, you come back into yourself, but your mind is so it's overly engaged with a lot of things outside of the interaction. I think that causes that overexhaustion in thinking and just being self-conscious.
Yeah, and it's like face-to-face interactions at scale. Because you hit on something good, is the facial expressions that you have to have. Because I'll never forget, when I was at Afrotech World, it's a faceless experiment.
It's faceless.
It's faceless. You're using an avatar. You're walking around. So all you have to do is use your voice instead of your face. And that made a huge difference in interaction levels.
Really?
For sure.
Wow.
You don't have to have your face in people's face all the time. Like, you don't have to be like, hey, how's it going? Like, and look at the camera, maintain eye contact with the camera the whole time, and worry about interacting with people's faces. And also, when other people don't have energy, you try to like make up for their energy sometimes, because it doesn't feel equal, right? So, and their lack of energy could take some of yours as well. So that's some things that take energy.
It gets you drained up, man.
Word.
It gets you drained.
Word. But yeah, the energy transfer is really real. So let's work towards wrapping up. Some of the action items you can take from this podcast are identify dopamine hitters. So what that means is identify what's distracting you and giving you that quick dopamine hit that stops you from diving into your work, because that is delayed gratification. And that includes your cell phone, social media, cleaning, eating, making that call, all those type of things. Next, create subtext. Next, create subtasks. Small tasks to get a bigger project done. And have easy access to those subtasks. So if you have a bigger project, create small tasks that you can get done in an easy manner to get to that next step. Breaking things down, that really helps. After that is flow state slide. So we talked about using hit of peppermint.
Candles. I love candles. My favorite candle to really get into the flow state in the morning is a candle I get from Bath and Body Works called Flannel. Flannel. It's actually burning right now. So that's why I'm locked in. I feel locked in. Flannel, that's what you're smelling right now, bro.
Flannel.
What do you think about that?
Not too shabby. Gives it a little bit of a woodsy.
It's a woodsy. It's that's the patchouli. Patchouli.
You're a scent dude, eh?
I'm a scent guy, bro. Even my colognes, man. I always choose different colognes for different seasons.
I feel you.
So I have a summer cologne, I have a winter cologne. A winter I go for more like a musky, woodsy.
And that's what you do by seasons. I do it by feeling. Like,
feeling.
I have like 3 or 4 colognes that I do for like feeling like. You know what's funny? I'll never forget. Rory tweeted, "You guys remember cologne?" I was like, "Yeah, you dirty ass. You ain't wearing cologne, bro."
Yeah.
I still wear cologne inside, like.
And actually, thank you for that, bro. Because now these days, whenever even I'm here at the crib by myself, I put on cologne.
Word.
And I feel so good.
Right?
I feel so fresh.
You feel me? Like, you gotta put on cologne to still like put yourself in that state of I'm still being
self-care, man. Self-care. Like, why do I put on cologne for other people? Why not? Why can I smell good myself?
Exactly.
Like, why?
Word.
Life is short, man. You got to be smelling good, looking good, feeling good at all times. That's why I wear nice clothes, even though I know I'm not going out, because flow state.
Clothes like this Hustle Over Everything merch.
Hustle Over Everything merch, cozy pack. Cop that. $100 on the website.
Most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So back to flow state slides. So let's expand more on that. Like, what do people need to remember?
So, things that get you back into your flow state: Pomodoro techniques, music, triggers, like we said, scent, noise, having your feet warm, the right socks, the right gear,
the right temperature.
Having triggers can really help you get into that flow state where you're ready to work and ready to get those tasks done. Or even having a trigger for that item, like, all right, I need to get this editing done. I want to get my socks ready and all that. Put my socks on. Boom, I'm in my editing zone. I'm going for it. Even
working out. A lot of people who procrastinate to work out in the morning. One book, I believe it might have been Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, when he was looking at, hey, here's some things you can do to shortcut like your way to like get ready and getting everything. It's like, take out your gym stuff in the morning, lay it out. Some people even sleep in their gym clothes, so when they actually wake up in the morning, they're wearing their, let's say if it's yoga pants, or like they're wearing like a workout bra or a workout vest, and you just like start running, so you don't have to change and grog out. Your shoes are right there, your socks are laid out. Boom. Access.
Having easy access to the items you need to get that job done. Next is adjusting your mentality. Remembering that your performance is not tied to your self-worth. Your performance is not tied to your self-worth. So you can put your whole ass into it, and if you fail, you are no less of a person. Man, it's just a struggle to do that.
What is like your self-worth?
And yeah, to put it into your activities.
Especially when it comes to stuff like studying, school, getting a workout done. You're fit, but you're still procrastinating, and you're like, I'm so unfit, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, I'm not that guy. But you gotta just really recalibrate and look at what are the things that are holding me back from actually giving maximum effort. And this is a great it's something that you've coined yourself. Your business is not your self-worth, but here now we're saying your performance is not tied to your self-worth.
Exactly.
You're not a bad person. You've done it before. That's why you're successful.
Yep.
If you've been procrastinating for 2 weeks, why is that? You're not a bad person. Just you're not now lower worth because you've been not doing something for 2 weeks. Just go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, and one thing our research was showing, actually we can touch on real quick, is sometimes it helps to forgive yourself. Studies show that people who forgive yourself for procrastinating will do a better job at not procrastinating in the future. So
what does forgiving yourself look like?
Literally just like allowing yourself to not feel 10 times guilty for procrastinating. Letting that go, that all right, I procrastinated, I realize that I do that, and now I can stop doing that because I've forgiven myself for doing that. What people tend to do is do the opposite, where they rationalize the procrastination and not realize that you did something wrong. It's like a mindset shift of, all right, that was wrong, and I forgive myself for doing that, and then now I want to change, versus, oh yeah, I did that because of this, so it's okay. That's the kind of the difference, and that's something I got to do myself.
Man, if you don't forgive yourself, you find yourself, it's like a domino effect. You start dwelling in that negative thought, you actually reinfect yourself more and more times, and it carries on to other activities. That energy transfer, you don't really execute the activities the best way you can because you're still worrying about, man, I had these expectations that did not even come through. How can I be that guy that I want to be if I can't even get this done? That is like something I think about. You know what I do? I tend to think about the future Owen, and then that future Owen is looking down on the current me of this version this year, and I look at future Owen looking down on me like, how you want to be this guy? Like, look at you, you're not even doing this, right? And I start judging myself, and it takes some time for myself to forgive myself, like, hey, it's okay. But I'm comparing myself to that future me that is this guy that I want to be. And if I'm not matching up to it, the behaviors are not matching up to it, I find so hard to let go of that. That's why I don't get it done, I'm now cheesed. But that's what I'm learning, man. It's just like, just drop it and let it go. There's another day, there's tomorrow. I did not get that task done. There's another day ahead, man. Like, the hustle over everything mentality is great, but sometimes you just gotta remember it's okay. There's another day to hustle.
You can have a bad game.
I can have a bad game. I can shoot. I can have a horrible shooting splits tonight. I can have a Tony Snell stat line. You know what that is?
Zeros all the way.
Zeros all the ways, man. No rebounds, no assists, no points. No even. It's like 0 for 10.
That's hilarious, man. Like, imagine your name just being like put next to
zeros.
Sorry,
zero.
Sorry to that man.
Yeah, like it's like Sam Mitchell, like when he was coaching the Raptors. It's like, what, there's some guys on the team who went there and gave us 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 ever on the stat sheet, and it's become a meme now. You're just out there running around, not contributing to anything to the team, bro.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps you. We want to get your feedback. What do you think of this podcast? Did this help you? Did this shed some insight into procrastination? And did this help you shape some thoughts of how you can drop procrastination for 2022? If you did, make sure you rate the podcast. Make sure you share this on social media. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen.
And hustle is what you can't control. So control your grind and control your life.
See you next week.
Wow. Thank you so much for listening. The conversation continues on our Instagram at 247hustler. We post very frequently. And be sure to check out our merch at hustleovereverything.co. We have some amazing sweaters, hats, mugs, and a lot more. Lastly, our Proud to Pay program is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for your support. Talk to you next Monday. Peace.